Hi guys, it's Daniela here from Ground Your Life with DZ. And today I just wanted to give you a bit of a background of my story and what got me into sound healing. So, for those that do know me, most of my life, from when I can remember, I've always been very sensitive, is the word, to sounds, whether it's music, people talking, um, whether it's the radio, the TV, whether it's a big crowd or wherever it is. I have been able to hear sounds that other people cannot hear. Um, it could be so far away, um, hundreds of meters away, that I could hear sounds um, that other people cannot hear, or they really have to concentrate to hear it. And this was a negative thing as I grew up, and especially as I got a bit older, in my 20s or so at its peak, where I didn't understand it, and I didn't understand that it was about frequency. Now I understand that it's about frequency. I could hear the frequencies. I could hear frequencies that other people couldn't hear, or maybe hear isn't even the word. I could sense or feel the vibration of frequencies that other people couldn't necessarily feel. And this was a negative thing for me because it was irritating. I didn't understand, one, why I was different, why I could hear or feel those vibrations, those frequencies, those sounds. And I didn't understand um, that it was a frequency thing that was irritating. It was because I wasn't resonating with the frequency. And often it might have been, it could be if people that were of a lower frequency, I don't want to sort of put myself up on a pedestal or anything like that. It's not about that. But if we look at a frequency chart, and if we look at the bottom of that chart being frequencies such as fear, shame, guilt, greed, um, they're on the lower spectrum of a frequency chart, and then up on so the middle is acceptance and love, and then on a higher spectrum of a frequency chart is emotions such as gratitude, joy, peace, um, even forgiveness and things. So those sort of things that are transmuting the negative. Um, if, say, groups of people were gathering together and it was all about, maybe they were feeling guilt and shame, and so that they were gossiping about other people or something like that, that frequency to me would be a sound, but it would be irritating to me. I didn't understand why at the time, and now that I understand frequency, I do. It could have been that people were in a greed state, or they were in almost like a I hate my life sort of, whether that's not fear, but just the opposite of gratitude. I hate my life, I'm going to get drunk and I'm just going to drown out my sorrows and have a party with other people that sort of doing the same thing. I'm not saying that everyone who drinks um, is of a negative frequency, but of these particular parties, for example, and then I am hearing those frequencies, those sounds, those vibrations. It's the collective event that would really get on my nerves, and it would really irritate me, and now I understand that. And what I do now is I can either try to transmute those sounds and frequencies with meditation and using visualization techniques, or I remove myself from the situation, or I avoid those situations altogether, depending on sort of what's going to be practical for each of those scenarios or at that point in time. But it's really only been in the last couple of years that I've understood that. What I've then utilized is that irritability in myself, and I've turned that around to be a skill, because I am so sensitive to sounds and frequencies and vibrations. I started studying sound therapy, and so now I'm a sound therapy practitioner, and just starting out really in that. But I'm able to utilize, whether it's my voice and chanting, whether it is singing bowls, cymbals, and other types of um, sound instruments to actually assist myself, or that's really assisted with my healing, um, and also others. And I started following a channel called Our Everyday Lives, and it was with a guy named Michael Della Rocca, and he um, was talking about different frequencies, and he was talking about the 528 hertz frequency and how he used that to help himself sleep. And it was after the birth of my daughter. I have a 19-month-old daughter, and I was really struggling to get into a deep sleep. She wasn't sleeping very well, but even if she would sleep, I was struggling to sleep myself. And I was just, I suppose I had the irritability and this tension that I felt like I needed to dissipate. And I started listening to his 528 hertz frequency sounds, and it had a ocean. It was recorded just the plain sound with the ocean in the background. And I'll try to add the link to this video. But what I would do, it was about a half an hour video, and I would listen to it at every nap. Like when she went down for a nap, I would listen to that and have a nap. And I noticed that I started having much deeper sleeps, and I felt much more restful. And so I started doing it more often, and then I started looking on Spotify and YouTube just for these, 528 hertz frequencies that went for longer, so maybe a 3 hours or a full 8 hour sort of sleep one. And I'd put it on overnight. And to this day, I put a 528 hertz frequency or a 432 hertz frequency, which really assists with DNA healing. And I put that overnight. And even when I co-sleep, more often I'm co-sleeping with my daughter, so we both listen to it. It gives me the most restful sleep and intense dreaming too, but in a positive way. And so with these frequencies, I started to investigate a little bit more into what we call the solfreggio frequencies. You could look that up. I'll also try to aim to put some links in as well, but there are many different frequencies that assist with body healing. They're all a little bit different. These frequencies that you can listen to. I prefer it in the plain tones, but you can listen to it in sort of music rather than the tone. You can also listen to it through chanting. And I started just playing this in the background while I was home with my daughter on maternity leave, and noticed profound results, like even in my own back pain or knee pain or fatigue, whatever it was, or whatever ailment it was. I noticed that I could heal myself with sound. And that's what got me into sound healing. And I truly believe that the power of sound, if given in the right intention and the right frequency, is phenomenal. We can heal our bodies with sound. And I know that sounds funny because I am or was or am a physiotherapist, and that's a very Western medical model, and it's not alternative medicine, and it's not anything like my son or husband would say hippie. But I've sort of converted from that real medical model to a more alternative treatment model. I've always sort of believed in alternative medicine, and I've always attended to practitioners like Chinese Chinese medicine doctors, naturopaths, homeopaths, shiatsu practitioners. So I've always sort of been very open to those things, but not so much the sound healing, and that's really come about more in the last 1 or 2 years. So yeah, just thought I'd give a bit of a background on that. I feel that I've turned a negative into a positive. I've turned an irritability into a skill and a niche, and I hope to be offering sound healing sessions to others moving forward. I'll just be aiming to set up a bit of a website and booking system. So watch this space.